Where is Jesus when you preach? Now, don't get worried. This is not a question I'm asking you. This is a question that was asked to me and the rest of the First Call pastors at our First Call continuing education retreat last week. It's a question asked by Bishop Craig Satterlee of the North/West Lower Michigan Synod. It's a really great name for a synod. Bishop Satterlee asked this question to all of us First Call, know-it-all pastors. I mean, we've all graduated seminary. We've been through enough training. We're installed as pastors of congregations. We preach regularly. We have this whole preaching and pastoring thing figured out, don't we? We don't need more education. Where is Jesus when you preach? Repeated Bishop Satterlee. Now, what struck me about this question wasn't that I couldn't immediately answer it. It's that I hadn't even ever thought to ask the question, which leads me to think that maybe it's important that we always continue in our education. The bishop offered several of his own answers. Maybe Jesus is with the young people. Maybe Jesus is with the older folks or gathered around the baptismal font like it's the pool of Bethsaida, waiting for the waters to be stirred so that they might be healed of whatever it is that ails them. Maybe Jesus is on the walls of the sanctuary with the saints who continue to gather with us. And yes, from the place of preaching. I agree with him. I agree and believe that Jesus is in all these places as I preach, as we worship. But Bishop Satterlee named something profound that an able-bodied 40-something know-it-all pastor hadn't thought to consider. Jesus is, as we look around, in the empty pew. Jesus is in the empty pew. Now, we like to grumble about the empty pew. We judge the empty pew. We lament the empty pew. And I get that. But do we ever wonder about the empty pew? As in, why is the pew beside me empty? I will tell you, many long to be in the pew beside us. But poor health keeps them homebound. It keeps them in the hospital. It keeps them in the assisted care facility. I visited several people over this past week who long to be with us in these pews. But for whatever health reason it is that keeps them homebound or in assisted care facilities, they are far from being able to join us in these pews. How about shame? Thoughts of no church would welcome me because of who I am or what I have done. They cannot see themselves walking through, there they are, those doors. Why? Because they feel shame of who they are, what they have done. And maybe these are self-told lies they've convinced themselves. Or maybe these are judgments levied by the uber pious among us. Not that Christians have ever done that. The result is the same. They don't join us. The pew remains empty. How about division in church hurt? I think we know that story, right? If you're unfamiliar with church division, if you're unfamiliar with being harmed by a fellow Christian, you are unique and lucky. Check out 1st and 2nd Corinthians. It seems that this has been a problem since the early days of our Christian church. Grief. I know that grief, that the loss of family in particular, or friends, can and does keep people out of the pews. While many find comfort in worship following the loss of a loved one, others struggle coming back to worship. That empty pew beside them that had for so long been occupied by their loved one, it's just too hard for them to overcome. And the pew remains empty. Both of them. I could keep going. There's apathy. There is just unbelief. There's work. People have to work on Sunday. A lot of people. Or if not work, maybe Sunday is the only day of the week where one doesn't have to work and they need that day to recover as actual Sabbath for their lives, maybe. How about families that are involved in 1,000 activities because that's what society tells them they must do in order to succeed in this life? That's real. Etc., etc., etc. I could keep going. We can come up with reason after reason as to why the pew is empty, but if we assume that everyone has the same situation as us, 40-something know-it-all pastor in my case, or if that doesn't describe you, insert your situation here. If we aren't curious, then we can't really know why the pew is empty. What we can do instead, perhaps, is to embrace a gracious curiosity. Gracious rather than judgmental of all the empty pews. Gracious and curious. Curious. If we believe that Jesus is in this empty pew beside us, beside me, if we believe that Jesus is taking up that pew for the absent, perhaps we ought to follow Jesus from the empty pew as we are sent back into our communities and into this world after worship. And I wonder, what might the Jesus of the empty pew, what might that Jesus lead us to? Who might Jesus lead us to? To the homebound and those in assisted living facilities? Most definitely. To those who have been lied to and told that they are too sinful for the church? Most definitely. To those whom our churches have hurt? Most definitely. To the grieving and the unbelieving? I am certain of it. To the incarcerated? Yeah, them too. Jesus calls to them too. And I wonder, if we were to leave this place and follow the Jesus of the empty pew out into the world, what might we say to the person that Jesus encounters out there? Well, I suppose it depends on why the pew is empty. But ultimately, the call is to reveal to them the Jesus that waits in the pew for them, with them, the Jesus of the empty pew, and waits with them wherever it is that they find themselves on Sunday morning, because Jesus doesn't just show up here on Sunday mornings. Jesus is with the person of the empty pew. That is the Jesus of the empty pew. And may this Jesus give us the peace which surpasses all understanding. And may this Jesus guard our hearts and our minds today and always. Amen.